The very first class that I took with Gary Douglas, who is the founder of Access Consciousness, was the advanced body class. And I showed up at that class with extreme pain in my back. I couldn't move a lot of the time. I couldn't get out of bed some days. I couldn't put my shoes on. And I was a yoga teacher and a dance teacher, and I did all kinds of work with bodies. And it was bizarre to me to have this kind of pain that I couldn't change. And it had lasted for a long time. And I went to this class and I asked him about it. And he said to me, in front of 100 people and in front of my children, "Truth, do you hate being a mom?" And whenever we say truth in front of a question in Access Consciousness, it actually requires the person answering the question to tell the truth. You can't actually lie. And I had to look at myself and look at my life and go, wow, yeah, I do actually. And that's not something that you're really supposed to or allowed to say, even especially in front of your kids, as a parent. But I had to get honest with myself about what was going on. And the fact that my body was in so much pain was actually such a gift because I needed to change it. I realized at that point that what I really hated about being a mom was everything that I thought I needed to be, everything I thought I needed to do. I had, been so excited to have kids, and then to come to find out really having kids is about cooking and cleaning and doing homework with them and changing diapers and, being awake all night and all the things that are not that much fun. And in that moment, I chose to do something different. And it required me to be willing to be seen as a terrible mom by other people, by myself, even by my kids. But I was not going to spend the next 15 or 20 years suffering the way that I was at that point because I couldn't get it right. And I didn't want to be a bad mom. I was going to choose a different reality for me as a parent that actually worked for me. And I was actually going to do something that's the worst thing you can do as a parent, and that is put myself first and actually choose a life that was joyful for me, knowing that if I had a life that was joyful for me, then it would actually be a greater reality for my kids as well. Now, fast forward, here we are in the middle of COVID and pandemic, and homeschooling is now a thing. Homeschooling is upon us, and I'm not a homeschooling mom. My kids are in online school, and you know what? I'm not a homeschooling mom. I don't do online school. I have a very busy life and business, and I actually have the point of view that my kids can handle it. They can choose what they want to choose. They can do what they want to do. And I'm not going to be hovering over them, making sure that they're getting school right. I've hired them a tutor to help them, doing things like that, where it's like, you know what, just because my kids are going to online school, that doesn't mean that I have to go to online school. I have a life of my own, and I'm going to empower them to choose what works for them. But when you function like that as a parent in this reality, you have to be willing to be wrong, and you have to be willing to be seen by people, including maybe even yourself, and including maybe even your kids, as a shitty parent. Because you know what? I don't cook for them. I don't do things for them. I'm not involved in their, day to day in the way that a lot of parents are, but that doesn't work for me, and that's not fun for me. And come to find out, my kids actually appreciate that and adore me. And actually, I asked my son last night, what was the worst thing I've ever done as a mom? And he said, nothing. You're a great mom, but I've chosen to do it really differently for me, because I wasn't going to spend 20 years of my life hating my life. And that's what a lot of people do when they have to do parenting the way that the rest of the world tells us. People become really miserable, and they think there's no other choice. Well, one of the greatest choices that I've made is to be willing to be a bad mom and willing to be a bad parent. So I am inviting you to 3 Zoom calls with me called How to Be a Shitty Mom. And that includes dads. You are invited as well, dads. It's really how to be a shitty parent. What if you could get so real with yourself that you could acknowledge what actually works for you as a parent and what actually doesn't? How you would like to parent your kids? What does it look like in this new era of homeschooling? And how are you going to make it work for you without putting yourself in the prison of having to get it all right and do it right? Because that is guaranteed to be, a downhill slope to nowhere. And I will tell you, to finish my story from the beginning, that as soon as I changed this, as soon as I actually hired somebody to do all the things that I didn't want to do as a mom, which made me a terrible mom, my back pain went away and it has never come back. So come and play How to Be a Shitty Mom, Dad, Parent, and let's see what we can create and let's see what we can change. You'll see the link down below or up above, heathernichols.com/shittymom.